lights out. Now they about to cut the food off. Niggas out of pocket like a cue ball. Wait. All I see is root balls. Hormones in the food, they the food jar. Hey, you ain't tired of feeling dumb, nigga? Can you tell me where you from, nigga? They call us African Americans and it's the scariest. I've been running miles like I'm Darius, chasing other dreams that a parent led don't apply to me. We went from kings to new age things. That don't make sense. How we pay rent, late on rent, bust some bust the bills do. Risk it all.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Black Man Thoughts. Got off work, feeling good, can't complain. Unfortunately, just another day of bad news with this virus out there. So, thoughts and prayers for everybody whose family was sick or whose family has been affected with this virus. Um, Thoughts and prayers for anybody who had to be laid off or is not getting to work and is struggling to, be able to pay their rent, because that's something that we must consider as well. That it's literally something that none of us have seen before, and so when we've never seen it before, for a lot of people, it's what do I do? It's almost like those stories where it's like the person played and joked around all this time, and then when disaster hit, he wasn't as well off as the person who's been saving up and plotting and planning. And that's majority of us who taken life and taken food and taken just taking gluttony, just taking overspending, over uses of everything for granted, and now it's like, okay, we don't have it now. Now we're trying to ration it out and save a little bit and make sure you have something just in case it gets worse than they say. So, that's something that we have to be cognizant about and, just be mindful of, when we going out and we're running into people and they just seem like they got attitudes. They seem like, they just seem like to be real nasty people. Sometimes we fail to realize that, everybody's going through something different. Everybody's going through something different. So, just be mindful of what other people may be going through. You know what I mean? Because they may be affected a little bit more than you. But off that, we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. Okay. Ravens, what do we stand? It's the off season. The draft is literally maybe 20 some days away. Hopefully, they don't push it back. Pick 28th. What does the depth chart look like? What does the depth chart look like? So let's start it off, man. We got Lamar Jackson, obviously, the quarterback, the starting quarterback, for as long as ever. RG3, Trace McSorley. I'll be honest with you, I don't feel the need for RG3 to be on the team. I really don't. I like him, hopefully get a job, but I mean, we have to be realistic, man. I remember sometime somewhere in training camp, he had said something like, "I'm faster," or something was made a reference that RG3's 40 time was actually faster, because RG3 had some wheels on him. But as we saw when he got in the game, man, RG3, I'll be honest with you, was a shell of himself. I don't remember him really breaking any long runs. I don't remember him being agile. I don't remember him doing much of anything when it was his time to run the ball. I'm sure he has a wealth of information he can tell LJ the do's and don'ts of how he messed his career up, or how his career was messed up, or his body. I won't say career, but his body reacted to what he would put himself in, the way he played the game. But it wasn't the same. That super speed, he doesn't have it anymore. That nimbleness, he doesn't have that. And so I don't feel the need. And even when he threw the ball, I mean, preseason, he looked good. He looked real good. But during the season, I didn't really see where he was that effective. I don't think that, taking up a roster spot for RG3 is would benefit anything. Trace McSorley, um, I was intrigued with him, as I can remember in what's it called, preseason. I don't think he did as good as RG3, but I'm interested. You know, a lot of people say, he can move. I actually like some of the passes he did in the preseason. I did. I liked, what he showed passing the ball some of the time. So I'll be interested to see how he looks during this training camp as well, and OTAs, and see how, how he progresses, because they haven't really said much about him. They really have, and if they liking the way they say or what they expect they do, it's like, you know, there's no need for RG3. So the quarterbacks, I think Lamar has made huge strides as a quarterback. A few weeks ago, I had posted on Twitter, I had mentioned about his offseason workouts, and was he going back to the quarterback guru that I remember, Tom Brady and Big Ben, and I want to say Philip Rivers, they work out with all the time out in California. But somebody reminded me, and I agree. Uh, Josh Harris did an excellent job with Lamar Jackson this offseason. So there's no reason to doubt him any longer or to have any negative feelings towards him, because he got the job done. I think that we all know Lamar's shortcomings, working more on accuracy, continue to work on footwork. Um, I think he's patient. I really do. I think Lamar does show patience, and I do think that he does look the pass. But I would like him to be a little bit more patient with other receivers or other pass catchers who aren't Mark Andrews. I would like him to be show a little bit more patience with Boykins, show a little bit more patience with Sneed, get Sneed involved more, quicker. Because I think that Sneed can be a big asset in moving the chains as well. And I would like him to see more patience and more comfortability with other receivers. Uh, I'm sorry, y'all. Let me put this on airplane mode. Yeah. So I just think that working on his accuracy, continue on his footwork work, and just even getting more. This another year with this playbook, so he's gonna be even more comfortable. And I think he should be fine, man. I think he should be fine. Let's go to running backs. I think this is gonna be a good topic because you got Mark Ingram, you got Jason Hill, and you got Gus Edwards. Okay, um, Justice Hill. I mean, I'm sorry, Mark Ingram. He's the starter. I think he did great work in his first year with the Ravens. He was everything that the Ravens looked for in a running back and more. He was a leader. He bagged his quarterback. He could catch. He made plays when we needed him to make plays. He held onto the ball. I don't remember him fumbling too much, but he was the perfect back, and everybody remember him how he dominated at Oklahoma. I mean, not Oklahoma, but Alabama. Man, I've always been a big fan of Ingram, and just to see him really continue that running style, you couldn't be happier. Justice Hill. I think that I'll be honest with you. I think that they tried to force Justice Hill in the running game more than they should, because it took plays away from Gus Edwards. I think that Justice Hill right at that last season is not the wasn't the runner that Gus was. So I think that they would have done more, did better with him, and giving him screens, giving him, just catches out of the backfield, maybe tosses on the outside, uses speed, change of pace. But I think that they took a lot of carries away from Gus more than they should, trying to get Jason Hill involved. And I just think that that was a bad thing, especially as the season wore on. Just imagine two big bodies and Ingram and Gus just continuously uh, wearing down an opponent, and then have to go and try to catch a speedy, Hill on the screen or out there. So I just think that that would have really just a better usage in certain uh, at certain times would be better for the running backs. Again, I think Justice Hill. I think he should. you know, put a little bit of weight on him a little bit because this is the AFC North. It's a very physical division, and it's not college. Yeah, you have speed. Yeah, you have quickness, but you know, if they gonna force, they gonna feed you the ball. I mean, you gonna take some punishment. You gonna take some punishment, especially as a smaller back. So build them legs up a little bit, man, and get ready to take some punishment and work on his hands. I think that working on his hands and being able to use more of his speed in different positions of the field other than just the backfield, being able to wide out would be very, very good. Would cause a lot of mismatch on linebackers and so forth. So I just think that a better usage of Justice Hill instead of forcing him through, through the guards and center, running him through up the middle. I mean, even though he's shown ability to break tackles and keep his legs moving. I just think that, using him as a chess piece would be better until he gets more comfortable running the ball because it didn't look like he was comfortable hitting the hole last year. And not saying Gus for last because Gus has all the potential in the world to be a top tier back. His only problem is, like I said before, Jamal Lewis used to have this a similar problem where not falling too easy, but Jamal Lewis would piss me off sometimes when big as he was, he'd try to act like a small back sometimes. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Run people over, man. But Gus Hill, man, you think he'd get the handoff, take off, then all of a sudden a shoestring tackle, man, he just fall on the ground. And that always pissed me off. I know it pissed a lot of y'all off as well. But I just think, man, he has so much potential. He showed burst last year. He showed the ability to move the pile, when they tried to tackle him. I like Gus. I think Gus really showed a big side of him from the previous year. I really do. I think that Gus showed something that he could be the workhorse, man. He could be the workhorse if they just give him the ball and see how they do. Let him take over a game, and I think we know. I think we know what we have, and I think that playoff game would have let us know where Gus stands. That would have been perfect. They gave him to him like once. He had like a big game, then you don't hear nothing else from him. And Harvis has said that he wish he would have given the ball more, but in hindsight, you know. But sheesh, I mean, Gus, man, when he's going, when he's feeling it, when he's toting that rock, man, he's a load. He is a load, man, and we love that. We love that, especially in them cold months when you just using him as a battering ram. Man, that's gonna be something good. Okay, let's hit to them receivers. Okay, you got Marquise Brown, Boykins, Jaleel Scott. Okay, let's start with Jaleel Scott. For years, the Ravens have been looking for receivers. For years we've been looking for receivers, man. And every time, training camp comes, and then we have the inter squad practices, the open practices where they play under the lights, and we see somebody, we get excited. We get excited, and we heard a lot about Jaleel Scott, Wesley, and Boykins. Oh man, we heard a lot about them. We heard a lot about them. And then what happened? What happened? Um, Nothing. Absolutely nothing happened. I think Boykin showed that he's got the skills, but he wasn't ready. But Jaleel Scott, man, I think that they should have got him in the game. You have to see what these young boys can do. You can't just keep them. You can't just activate them or put them on 53 and never use them for 16 games. I don't see any benefit of that. What is the benefit of, hey, coach, I made the 53-man squad. I'm active and I don't play, or I'm not active. I'm just on the squad and I just don't play. Like to me, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, especially if he's a young receiver, especially if it's a position that you're looking to build your talent, looking to see what you have. You have to let these young boys play, and that's why I'm so against signing vets to just eat up eat up playing time from these young receivers because I think Jaleel Scott he's a big dude, and I think that he has a lot of potential. But we've seen years and years and years and years, 20 something years, where we've seen a lot of potential at the wideout position, and ain't none of it come through. So I get it. We're done with potential. We want results. I get it. But in order to get results, you have to get in a position to be able to provide the results. And Jaleel Scott, unfortunately, was not in a position to provide results to see what he can do. I mean, we kept giving, letting Chris Moore run down the field. And, and I get it, he's a good gunner, but at certain times, man, it's like, well, shit, let's just give a game to one of these young boys, and see what they can do. And see what they can do, man. Let's just forfeit one of the gunners and see what this boy can do, man. Because uh, I just think that, man, what happens is they'll go out there and it'll be like their last year of their contract. They'll put up 500 something yards or 400 something yards and look good. And now they're like, nah, I want to go somewhere else. And I don't know. I just think that Jaleel Scott should have got an opportunity, and he didn't. Let's go to Boykins. I think Boykins. Well, I had a conversation with a brother, you know, Hazel. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, man. Shout out to him and his podcast. Shout out to what's the B word? Shout out to Engraven and NF, man. Y'all really inspired me to get on my Grizzly and do my Ravens talk on here. But much love to y'all. Um, but Boykins, man, you heard so much about him on training camp and how he was just bodying. He just catching in traffic. He was making plays, and then when the game happens, it's like he got quiet. He got quiet. I do think that Lamar should look his way a little bit more, man. But I guess when the game time comes and them DBs really know how to cover and really make you work for it, I just think that like my boy said this week, it just seemed like the moment was too big for him. And when he got a chance to, though, he made the play. So then the question now is, was the moment too big for him? Or like Hayden Hurst, he didn't get enough opportunities to catch the ball to see if the moment was too big. Because I remember when he got a chance, yeah, he dropped some, but when he got a chance to make a play, especially down the stretch, he did make a little bit of plays. So that tells me that maybe the more opportunities given to him, he would have made a little bit more noise. I'm excited for him. I wish like Hollywood, he's posting his workout videos and showing that he's out there. He's working on his routes. He's working on being more physical. Working on catching the ball, highest point, catching the ball in traffic. I just hope, I would just wish that he posted something to let us know he's out there and he's working hard. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody don't do it, but shit, I'd like to see it. At least we can have some verification that he's out there. Who's he working with? Who's his mentors? Who's training him? Who's he looking at to model his game after? I mean, I think that those are important, especially as a young player, on finding the right people to surround yourself with and to work on your game to take it to the next level. Because coming up from college and coming to the pros, man, and you have certain people being able to, they have their own specific training people, and they're able to work on certain craft or certain parts of their game. And you get a chance to work with a Hopkins or AB. I mean, that's a different type of workout than working with just somebody regular. So I just hope that he's found somebody to really work out with, to teach him how to work out and how to train as an NFL receiver, and how to put in that work as an NFL receiver. Because for years we would hear that Ray Lewis and Ed Reed would invite people over to to watch film. Watching film with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis is completely different than watching it with your boy in college. It's completely different than watching it by yourself, because their knowledge of the game, they're able to relay things or what to look for. So I do think that hopefully he's Boykins have found somebody to work on his craft with. Hollywood, we've seen it. We've seen that man out there working. Looked like he had some weight on him. He looked like he's really, really taking it serious. He's working out with AB. You can never be mad at that. I know everybody's screaming, "Oh, AB!" Listen, man. When it comes to football, just pure football, AB's a monster. What I want him on my team, I wouldn't ask for him, but he happened to be on my team. I guarantee you what, when we play them Steelers, he's gonna be looking to turn up, and I love it. As long as we beat them Steelers, I'm happy. Um, what he do in his off time? Hopefully, it don't run off. But I do think he would be an asset against the Steelers, man. Okay, let's speed this up. Snead, Chris Moore, uh, Thomas. Uh, what do I think about them? Snead, I think Snead's a good player. I don't think he was as effective as he was the first year that we got him. But I also think that, I also think that, with the emergence of, and the trust that Andrews and the amount of catches that Andrews was getting, and took away from some of the catches that Snead was getting. So I can see why it may look like he wasn't being as effective. But I think Snead is a good player. I think he's a smart, savvy player, and I definitely like him on the team. Like to throwing the ball more. Chris Moore, I think he's a bum. I had so much hopes for Chris Moore, man. I used to argue with people and talking about Chris Moore is about to be. He's about to come up. He's going to be like a sure number two, if not definitely better than a number three. But of course, he would never be a one receiver. But shit the bed. He shit the bed, man. Yeah, he catches some good passes every once in a while, but to be this far along in your career and you still are in a position that you're in means two things. Either that you're not showing enough in practice, because I remember the year before last, you heard a lot of Chris Moore. Then in training camp last year, you heard nothing from Chris Moore. You heard about Boykins, you heard about Andrews, you heard about I think Seth Roberts, you heard of Wesley, nothing with Chris Moore. It got to the point where people were asking, yo, what's going on with Chris Moore? And you wasn't hearing anything about him. And obviously, look what kind of season he turned in. It doesn't look like he took last season very serious. Or if not, man, John Harbaugh and them have seen something on tape that we've wasn't seeing, and that he's been locked down by Humphreys and Jimmy Smith and in our corner. They've been locking him up and he's not able to make the plays. I don't know what it is. He really disappointed me, and I'm gonna just move on for him. I'm kind of shocked that he even came back after the blow up he had. I heard, I had heard rumors that him and Harbaugh got to a shout match over his opportunities, man. And then I guess he humbled himself and realized that people wasn't asking for him like he thought. And he tucked his tail and came on back, and we'll welcome him. He's a good gunner, but he's going to stay a gunner. I don't think he's going to be looked at too much as the receiver room. He's going to be the special team, hopefully a special team leader, man. But, sad that much speed and that much catching, person who can catch those highlights and catching traffic the way he can't put it together and just learn to get open a little bit more. Because I've seen him do really good. I've seen him get open. I've seen him catch great balls. But it's just something that when he gets out there, he hasn't been looked at, or he hasn't been putting himself in a position to make a play. Um, and Wesley, and we'll touch on Wesley slightly. I think Wesley has a lot of skills, and we're gonna see. Like you said, we've seen all type of practice players. We saw kind of people that dominate in practice, and then when preseason comes, they get a little bit quieter, and then you don't hear of them. So let's hopefully Wesley can continue. I think we signed him back, so or he's still on the practice squad. Either one. I hope he really like what boy can find somebody to mirror his game afterward and teach him how to work on the off season to hone his craft, and let's see where he goes from that. Okay, the tight end room. We got Andrews and Boyle. Like I've said before, I do think it was a mistake trading Hayden Hurst. I get it. He wants to play. Can't knock it. Can't knock Ed DeCosta for it. But like I said, we were so unpredictable last year about running our rock in our tight end room because it put so much pressure on the defense. They could run. They were athletic. They can get open. And now you take one away and you basing it on Andrews, who's injury proven to be an injury guy. It can be like a strength go down to one of your major weaknesses. So I'm just a little worried. I think that we should definitely look at one in the draft. I'm not gonna say Thad Moss, or just because the last name is Moss. I don't know. I haven't really watched tape on him, and I'm just wondering, does everybody say his name because he's Randy Moss's son? But I just think that we should pick up an athletic one who can again cause pressure on defenses, man. That way we can, because I'm a little worried about that. Just Andrews and Boyle. I am, because we've had Boyle. We've had people like Boyle, Crockett, Gilmore, Pitta. We've had those, and they were decent tight ends. And I've always liked Boyle. He's a big dude, willing to hit, willing to block. but Boyle can catch, but Boyle ain't never been athletic like Hayden Hurst. That's a different type of athleticism where when he break, you saw he broke off that run, broke off that catch. He's not getting caught. You know what I mean? He don't have to worry about trying to jump over everybody. He catch that rock, he can take one to the house. And Boyle's not like that. And that's what we needed in a tight end. Somebody he like, hey, he may not get the looks that Hayden Hurst do, but if you mess around and leave him open and you start sneaking up on another guy and he catch that rock, he could be gone, man. So that's what made our tight end room so dangerous because Andrews is like a damn receiver. And he can take one to the house. And now you got another one who could take one to the house and Hayden Hurst. I mean, that's a scary combination, man. Uh let's look at we got the line. Uh we got the offensive line. I'm not really going to get too much into the offensive line simply because the way I look at it is the way I look at it is this. We have Yonder's retired. We got Stanley. We got Marikey, Orlando Brown, Bozeman. Hurst is off the team. Skura coming back from a major injury. I think that some of those names are good names. Marikey, let's see if he could put it together a year or two. I look for him to be the starting center. I do not look for Skura to be a star. I mean, that's a major injury, man, and I don't know. That is a major injury that I think everybody should be a little worried about. Um, who's the center? Who's the backup center? And then who's the backup guards? I mean, that inside the trenches, man, is thin. It's thin. It's about as thin as a 40-year-old tear. It's thin, man. And I just think that we keep jumping on this pass rush, and we need pass rushers and pass rushers and sounding all these defensive ends. But reality, man, I'm a little worried about the inside the trenches, man, because I don't see us having quality depth. I really don't. And the lack of depth in the NFL of quality linemen is already thin. When you use a Yonda and a major injury to your starting center, I mean that's kind of hard to make up. And what's the point of adding all this defensive talent and adding all this talent on the outside and trying to run your way through the NFL when you don't have the line to hold up? That's the scary part. So I'm a little worried about that, man. And just do I think Bozeman can take over for Yonda? I don't think with confidence people can say a guarantee because we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him at all. He was inactive, I think, all last year. Yeah, with his collegiate career, he did a very good job, but this ain't a collegiate career. This is the NFL with defensive tackles who've seen all the moves. They're stronger than you. They're athletic. So I don't know. Hopefully, the chemistry between him and Orlando Brown is never going to be the same with Yonda. Yonda helped Orlando Brown and Skura out tremendously with their knowledge on and allowing them to be top of their games every game and helped them out against some tremendous D tackles, tremendous ends. And when you don't have that wealth of knowledge and you have a rookie and now you're the one giving them knowledge, that's a little bit different, man. And you're going to see really how good our center position is and our right tackle position is without Yonda. And hopefully, we hold up. But this the line one is the one I think out of all the positions, the line scares me the most because we don't know what we've got now. We really don't. The leader on the line is left in Yonda. First ballot Hall of Famer. He's left. What do we have now? What do we have now? So, and that's something to look out for too because I think, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's go on to let's go to the defense side of the ball. We've got Brandon Williams, Dylan Mack. I think we got uh Ellis and Wolf. What a big difference. What a big difference. We're signing people who can get after the ball. No more just blocks. No more blocks, man. No more people who can barely move. None of them people, man. We had the Pierce. We had just people who couldn't move. We haven't had a dominant man like that in the middle who can move since Nada. Um, we haven't had that, and now we're getting one in Wolf. We're getting one somebody who can move lateral, somebody who can really be athletic, man, and put a lot of pressure on and make the opposing offensive lineman think and make mistakes and to let other people free because they're so worried about them and their athleticism. I think that's going to help. I think it's going to help out Brandon Williams and let him just eat the blockers. Let him eat the blockers, man. Let them linebackers run free. I'm so glad now we don't have because Brandon Williams and Pierce was like the same people, and then you got Dylan Mack. It's the same person. It's like three of the same people, and you're not going to get it generate a lot of sacks. And then you had Wormley. Wormley wasn't an athletic guy. It just we have just statues up there. Now we're getting people who can move. Now we're getting people who move because you add in Calais Campbell. You got Patrick Ricard. You got Dalen Ferguson. I mean, yeah, Patrick Ricard. I mean, you have some people that can move, some athleticism out there now who's going to try to beat you on a plethora of ways instead of, hey, I'm going to give you that one good bull rush and then I'm going to fall asleep. You're not going to have that no more. Now you got people say, hey, I can swim, I can spin, I can do some stunts, I can hold you up, let other people in. I mean, going to have a plethora of opportunities to get after the passer. I mean, if we're not getting a lot of sacks this year, I think that's going to be a huge problem. And nobody sees that happening. Everybody sees that, hey, I guarantee you we're probably going to have a lot more than we had last year. We might not lead the league in sacks, but that's not going to be a problem for us is getting to the quarterback, whether that's more quarterback hits or actually the numbers of sacks is definitely going to go up because we have the athleticism. Uh, and Jahad Ward. I think Jahad Ward is going to be really good. He's a big guy, can get after the quarterback. I just think that we've added athleticism to a position that seems stout, but it had a lot of flaws in it. It was a one dimensional. And once them offensive coordinators found out how to stop it, it was all she wrote. We couldn't do anything else. We couldn't do anything else. So it's gonna be interesting, man. Let's go to the defensive ends in a rush. We got Calais Campbell, Pat Ricard. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Agent Adioy or Edoy. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Jay Ferguson and Kamalu. I got to see if them two, the other people was even on the squad. But like I said, Jalen Ferguson, Calais Campbell, Pat Ricard. Already you have people who are athletic enough to get out of the quarterback, especially Pat Ricard. I like him. I like him. I think he's an animal. I think he's an animal who just loves to hunt. He loves to hunt, man. Whether it's just knocking you down as the fullback, or you know whether that's just getting after the quarterback because he still puts pressure on you. So I just think that we are built to get after the quarterback. Now, whether the sack number is going to go up, I pretty much guarantee they will. But whether they go up to the point where we lead the league in sacks or they just go up, I think now quarterbacks are definitely going to get the ball out a lot faster, and it's going to be a hard time. They're going to have a hard time just picking on a cornerback because they can't just focus on that one quarterback because now they have to do a quick look and get it out the hand because we have some athleticism on our defensive line, and that's the exciting part. So now the question now is, if you have athleticism and be able to stop the run on your defensive line, can you sacrifice a little bit at the middle linebacker position? You know, can you sacrifice that position? Not to say don't address it, but what I'm saying is that instead of going pick 28, trying to find a perfect linebacker, what if you use that pick and do something on offense and then wait to maybe round 3 to address the middle linebacker position? I mean, is that something that you can afford when you add in a Wolf, a Calais Campbell? You got a B Will, and maybe sign another defensive tackle to stop. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. I don't think that middle linebacker is as important now with the signings that we did as it was before. Now, I say that with a grain of salt because we all see what the Steelers did when they added that rookie middle linebacker, and I think he had like 6 picks. and being able to control the middle of the field like that in coverage. I think that that's what we should look at. If we do go that route, somebody who can cover that middle of the field, somebody who can drop back in coverage, and is a great cover middle linebacker, man. And that would really, man, somebody, because tight ends have been killing us. What's been killing us? Somebody who can really, really take advantage of, and with athleticism and cover, man, that's gonna really help us out, man. Let's go with Fort, Chris Board. Um, man, that that doesn't sound like a lot of you know that doesn't sound like somebody that you really put a lot of trust in. Fort did his thing last year. I really like him. Chris Board, a lot of people like him. I think he's good, man. But the question is, are they starting material? Are they? Would you base your season on them? Would you play off on the line? You're looking at Fort. You're looking at Chris Board. Would you trust them? You know what I mean? We lost Chris Bynes. I think he would have been a great re-sign. I don't know what took so long to sign him, but I think he went to the Bengals, man. Um, I just think that we definitely need to add some depth there, add some talent there. Like I said, I think we need to add some coverage. We had C.J. Mosley, great, went to the Jets, but he couldn't cover with a damn. So we have to get somebody who isn't just a run stuffer, but somebody who's athletic, and they can use athleticism in many different ways, not just to run stuff, but to blitz and definitely to cover. I think a lot of times we like to look for them 19 early 90s when the running back is running 25 a game, and we want him a big slow guy. No, get somebody in the middle of that field who can cover, who's athleticism, because these tight ends is ruthless these days. They're ruthless. They're basically giant receivers. And these quarterbacks is getting more athletic. And when they come out that pocket, we need somebody, you know, that's in the middle of that field who can survey and take off with great speed and athleticism, can bend the hips, can can cover. I mean, just have great ball skills. I mean, I think that basically the middle linebacker now needs to be a bigger safety, a bigger safety in the middle. Somebody who can knock you down on the run, but also can show a hell of a lot of athleticism, because the NFL, man, is getting so crazy with the athleticism and the speed that's coming out of college. Um, you got Judon, Terrence Bowser. I mean, again, these are people, man. You know what's funny about Bowser? I remember Bowser coming out of Houston. They they said that he was great in coverage. And I remember his first year, either in the playoffs or maybe on the first game of the season or second game. I remember he got an interception, I believe. And I'm like, yo, this dude's gonna be nice. And then we don't hear nothing. I've always liked him better than Tim Williams. I always thought he just was a better player, and I think he's starting to come into his own. And I just pray that he gets the opportunity to show how good he can be. People talk about maybe him going to middle linebacker. It'll be interesting, but I don't want to. I don't want to be the career experiment where they're overloading. If he's been an outside linebacker this whole time, keep him there. Keep him there. Or if you feel comfortable, put him in there to guard the tight end. I don't care what you do, but don't overload him. He's just now starting to come into his own. To me, he got a lot. He got some decent pressure last year with him and Ferguson, and they didn't get the sacks. They didn't get you know, the number of sacks, but they did generate some pressure. They did generate some pressure, man. So hopefully, man, he isn't buried on the depth chart, and that they actually use him this year, because I like Bowser. I think that he can really take off, and I don't want him to be like another McPhee. All of a sudden, that last year he come out with like 6, 7 sacks, and then we get outbid and can't get him back, and we didn't spend all this time grooming him. Cornerback position definitely needs no introduction. Like I said, the minute they said they signed Jimmy Smith back, game over. My favorite Raven, uh, Smith, Mr. Smith, number 22, is definitely back in the building. And, I couldn't be more happier. Him, Peters, uh, Young, Humphrey, uh, Iman Marshall. Uh, man, I mean, they have some really good talent. And Avery, I think Avery's pretty good too, man. Avery sometimes, man, Avery sometimes he does good, other times he looks sloppy. To me, that's more mental. I just think that we our depth chart is dope. Our depth chart is dope. So maybe we're gonna come back and talk about the draft needs. Um, but I can tell you now, the needs got to be depth at the guards the center, depth on the inside lineman, um, depth at middle linebacker, and some quality depth at receiver. That's what we need. Everybody talking about running back. I I have yet to see a good reason to sign a running back or to draft a running back earlier than the fifth round. I just don't see it. I don't see why we should draft a running back earlier than the fifth round. Let's just say even fourth round. Why draft a running back earlier than the fourth round? I don't see it. I think we have too many other needs. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all. I'm definitely this is Black Man Thoughts talking about the depth chart of the Ravens and what we're looking at right now. If you want me to talk about a topic, man, just shoot me an email. Check out my Twitter. Check out my Instagram. I'm on that keto diet now. Trying to do some intermittent fasting, man. Trying to lose some weight. Work with my diabetes, man. So if y'all got any tips for me, y'all got any things for me to try, hit me up. Send me a message. Again, shout out to Engraving Ravens. Uh, you know, what's the B word? NF Ravens. Shout out to all them, man. Them good podcasts, man. Check them out, man. Again, yo, y'all stay safe out there, man. Shalom.